TODs, or as the acronym stands for, Touches of Death. It's a technique where you're able to turn one hit into a killing scenario, either through a combo or a one-shot attack. I want to ask in today's video, when is it okay for a TOD to exist in a fighting game? Being able to kill someone off of one mistake can be seen as very brutal, because again, it's one hit leading into a combo or one shot and you die and that's it. That one mistake is cost you the round. Because it's so brutal, it makes you wonder, why does it exist in a fighting game where it's based on one-on-one fundamentals? In a shooter, these mistakes are allowed to be made and you die in one hit because you've got a team, and the team can make up for your mistake. But in a fighting game, if you make a mistake, you get punished for it. But getting punished with a full health bar is kinda insane. I'll go over every type of touch of death, and I'll also go over scenarios where I think it's completely fine that they exist, and scenarios where I just don't think they should happen. But let's get started with the types. It's good to know about the types, that way you're educated about the types of TODs that can happen and view them in a bit more of a, oh, that's fair enough, to yeah, that's busted. One-shot TODs are very rare in fighting games. The best examples that you can find are maybe Dragon Ball FighterZ Android 16's self-destruct sequence or Tekken 8's one-shot unblockables. And all of these share one thing in common: they're very slow. They're very slow. I think Miguel's unblockable is about 5 seconds long, Jack's is about 5 seconds long, and Android 16's with the Super Flash and the Leap is like 2 seconds long. They tend to be super slow and of course conditional, so you can't really do it normally. There has to be a lot of set play to make this one-shot kill. Infinite TODs are where you're able to land one hit and turn it into an infinite combo where it does not end. There's no end in sight unless the game has in-game built mechanics to get rid of the infinite, like Skullgirl's infinite protection system or the burst mechanic from Guilty Gear. Most infinites tend to be bugs or unintended. If they tend to happen, it meant something went wrong with the developer's side. The best example is the TADC infinite from MVC3. It's a complete bug and it's not supposed to happen, and it's still allowed in competitive play. And infinites always involve some type of loop that you just have to get down consistently, and just like that you could do the full combo. Some of these loops can be insanely difficult and some of them can be beyond easy. Resource dump TODs is where you're able to use all of your meter, your character meter, everything that you could possibly use to get the touch of death. These can also involve resources such as Risk, for example, in Guilty Gear, or the Blood Meter for Nagoriyuki, and a lot of these TODs tend to come from your best hits. They don't come from a jab, for example. Tag fighters usually have these as well, such as Dragon Ball FighterZ with the sparking mechanic, and of course Marvel vs. Capcom with the X Factor mechanic. Dumping resources into a TOD tends to be the way to do it in a tag fighter. In a lot of other fighters, this rarely happens. You know the types of TODs now, so the conversation needs to begin. When is it fine to beat someone off of one touch? Most tag fighters are fine for the most part, having multiple health bars and so many resources to dump. I think it's fair enough that you're able to kill someone off of one touch in a game like Dragon Ball FighterZ. Same with Marvel vs. Capcom, being able to dump their main mechanic like sparking or X Factor, one-time mechanic into a combo, I think is completely fair enough. Mix that with the 7-bar meter, yeah, and then the limit breaking for your last guy. It's expected that you're going to be able to do such a thing, kill off of one hit. Can it be cheesy? Can it be toxic? Without a doubt, but that is the nature of tag fighters. You're getting into it for the bullshit. You're not playing it for fundies. Because you've got two other characters to work with, when one character dies, it's not as if you lost the game, you're still in it. You've only lost a health bar. So again, I think it's fair enough that TOD can happen in a tag fighter. Doesn't mean it's fun when it happens to you. One-shots, I think these are fine for the most part. There's not really a one-shot touch of death that I look at and go like, that's ruining the integrity of the game. If you watched a tournament and the Jack got away with an unblockable that took 6 seconds to come out, he deserves to win. I think it can feel awful in ranked play, getting knowledge checked by a Miguel unblockable or getting knowledge checked by an Android 16 unblockable. And it doesn't ruin the competitive integrity of the game, because in high level you'll never see this stuff land. And if it does, gap. If anything, it's encouraged. if it happens. However, there are a good number of cases where I do not think a TOD should ever happen in these fighting games. First one is infinites. Infinites tend to be bugs. They're never intended. Whenever they happen, it's not meant to happen. Don't get me wrong, it can be fun doing an infinite, learning the loop, learning the combo, and it can be fun to spectate for the first couple of times. But if you're heavily involved in the game, I can imagine these infinites getting very tiresome or boring to watch. It can get boring very quickly, and dealing with it is just not fun because there's no counterplay once you're hit. I think the best example of infinites completely ruining a game's vibe in terms of watching or playing it is that Fist of the North Star game. Don't get me wrong, I love Fist of the North Star, and I thought this was a blast to watch at EVO Japan, but when I saw the 5th Infinite, I realized, yeah, this is not a game that's going to be fun to play. It doesn't look like I would be involved in it. Like, if I had to play this every day of my life, I'd get really fucking angry. I think it's neat to see. Only the first couple of times. After that, it's boring as hell. Watching the same loop over again, watching the same combo over again. There's nothing unique going on here. There's no interaction, there's no fundies. A game leading to infinite slapfest is never fun. It should never happen. I also think TODs should never happen in fundamental based fighting games. High damage scenarios should certainly happen. For example, in a game like Street Fighter, you should never be able to TOD someone, but you should be able to kill someone off of 2 touches depending on your character. The way I see it, if Street Fighter ever had a TOD, the game's failed. Straight up. But because of that, we need to address the big elephant in the room. Characters with health values that are small. This is a difficult topic to obviously tackle, because a lot of these characters tend to be very strong, but have the caveat of low health. So it's more than likely they'll get punished for their mistakes a lot heavier than the rest of the cast. Now, should a TOD exist on Chip Xanath and Guilty Gear Strive? Absolutely. I think it's fine if risk has been built up and the opponent has 2 bars of meter. TOD and Chip, fair enough, he deserves it. Not to mention, the burst mechanic exists, so if he didn't have that, again, there's so many layers that will lead to this TOD, where if it doesn't happen, fair enough, and if it does happen, also fair enough. So on Guilty Gear, TODs should exist, and Infinite shouldn't. Street Fighter TOD does exist, being Marisa or Gale against Akuma. Akuma having one of the lowest health values in the game makes it more than likely he'll get punished. Akuma's health value could lead to him being TOD'd, and I don't think that should really be happening. I think he should maybe be left on like 2% health at best. Get it, you can't design your damage and combos off of the 1 small health character, right? So I get that he can be TOD'd by 2 characters in the roster. I think it's nasty in your fundamental based fighting game that you're getting killed for 1 hit. You know, it's rough design. Now here's an interesting one. TOD setups. As we know, some TODs can be set up simply just due to the fact that you do not have enough health to block out a scenario. So taking one combo that could do like maybe 90% damage and then you're forced into a block string that does 15% damage, these scenarios really shouldn't happen. There should be some type of counter on block or some type of gap to deny a lot of these block strings. In 3D fighters, a TOD should also never happen. In Tekken 8, Virtua Fighter, anything like that, TOD should never happen. And I bring this up because there's one infamous clip of an Akuma player being Super Akuma doing that TOD. Now don't get me wrong, this was skill. There was so much skill put into this, I have to show respect to Super Akuma. However, it's kinda bullshit, I'm not gonna lie. A character having a jump in Tekken and it leads to a TOD is absurd. And there's not even a wall break, there's not even a floor break, it's just one long ass combo to the wall and it's dead. This happened in a competitive set. This wasn't even like a ranked match, I think. This was in a tournament set we saw this TOD. I don't think this should happen. And I don't even think it comes down to like Tekken is an insane game with damage. It just came down to Akuma being insanely overtuned for so long. And that's the nature of TODs. Sometimes it just comes to the characters are absurd and need to be toned down. But that's today's ramble piece. It's just kind of talking about TODs. When do I think they're acceptable and when do I think they're just should never happen. I think the takeaway is this: if a game is encouraged to do BS and it's a bit more taggy, for example fighters, Guilty Gear, you name it, it should be fine. But if it's a fundamental based fighting game like Street Fighter or Tekken, never, not once should it ever happen. Unless it's something funny like a one shot. For today's video, if you enjoyed, be sure to like, hype, sub, and tell me when do you think a TOD should happen and when do you think it shouldn't happen. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this one. And that's gonna be me peacing out, and I'll catch you in the next one. See ya!